Hello, my good people. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to this live uh, from me here in Embakasi. And of course, I'm welcoming you to this live stream uh, from me here in Embakasi. So, thank you for always coming back to watch my YouTube channel. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to this YouTube channel. So, yes, today being a Sunday and the third day after the explosion which happened around here. So, of course, I saw like it's very fine for me to come through and try to talk about like what happened, what really happened during that fateful day. So, a lot have been said. People have given out their stories, and everybody is just trying to give all his or her story on what really happened. And for real, this is my first thing, or this is my first one-on-one encounter with the explosion of such magnitude. Like, for real, I've never come across anything like this. Most of the times we hear these things happening out there, but we have never experienced them. Like most people, we just see these things on movies, vehicles being blown up. Like, after all, it's in the screens. But for this one, it just came out as a shocker to many. And you can tell, like, I've just gone around and I've seen so many people, like so many people got injured and they were rushed to various hospitals around here. And most of them are recuperating and others are critically injured. Most people sustained up to 50% burns on their bodies. And most people are being burned from behind here because of running away from the scene. And most people realized like this thing, they realized too late for them to run away from the scene, because so many pictures from different angles which people have posted, like even people thought like it was just an ordinary fire, and you could see people carrying kids, children, and trying to stare from far. Little did they know like it was to blow up and people will get hurt. So, like, so many people got hurt, and by yesterday there were reports that people succumbed to the injuries at the KNH, that's Kenyatta National Hospital, and others even were found in houses, that those who didn't manage to run away from the scene, while some other people are sleeping, because now, as you know, like, people are sleeping because it was past 11, you see, and most people must have gone to sleep. And there were reports like this one lady who had gone to night shift, working night shift, and she had left the kids back at home. And you can imagine now, small kids also cannot be that sensitive at this time of the hour. Like, they must have gone to sleep, and when the house caught fire, so you can imagine the kids perished. So, and several other people, like maybe at the compound where the gas was being refilled, I witnessed like police were retrieving one body from the compound, and there is one neighboring church here. Today, they said like they lost one of their congregant or the worshiper from their church. So you can imagine they lost like two, one a father and the kid, as they were trying to run for safety, and they were hit by the tank pieces from the tank which were being thrown, and they were hurt and they died on the spot. Because at that night we had reports like people died, and of course they were taken to various morgues around the city. So you can imagine like for now we cannot tell the number, because it's only the government which will verify like how many people lost their lives. All we know is like several people who died, and also scores were injured. Even the son to my brother also got injured on that day, on that fateful night, because he was at his shop, and as you know, flames went around, and so many people are injured actually. So you can imagine. So like people asking me like what was happening around that area. So you see, like as for me, this whole time I have stayed around this area. I used to think like that's only a parking yard for those rollies. You can see those LPG tankers going in and leaving. You can just imagine, like you can just assume like it was like a routine maintenance. Once they have gone, and maybe they have like as I was saying, like most people will not tell like they are used to be gas being refilled inside that compound, because it was being used as a repairing yard. So most people could not think like there was gas being refilled in there. So as a result, people maybe were not being uneasy to the issue. Like they used to think like once those vehicles are contracted to take gas elsewhere, and they come for maintenance and leave again to pick some gas from the coastal town of Mombasa. But now, maybe this fateful day, it just happened, and people realized like gas was leaking from this ill-fated tanker. And I think the thing which helped so many people, or most people who are just neighbors around the area, they discovered too early, like they discovered there was gas leaking, and most people, they know like once gas is leaking, it's so dangerous, most people ran away. That's why like around the area where directly opposite where this tanker exploded from the compound inside the yard, not so many people got serious injuries because they like realized hurry, and they decided to get away from the area. And there were people who are saying like maybe if this incident had occurred during daytime, by night it could have been a disaster. As you know, like so many Kenyans, instead of us running from a disastrous or a crime, something which is about to happen, most people come to peep they just instead of running away from the scene, they just run to the scene, and they try to see like what's happening. Like some other time back, I saw like there was a daylight robbery on a bank somewhere in Kenya, and instead of there was an exchange, fire exchange between the police and the gangsters who are inside the bank, and instead of Kenyans running away from the scene, like people are running to the scene to witness the thing. You see, like this age of social media where most people want to go to the scene and record and distribute it to the social media. So instead of people running away from the scene, most people prefer to run to the scene instead. That's how unique we are, we as Kenyans. Instead of running away from the scene, we just run to the scene, literally. So like this fateful day, instead people running away from the scene, when this fire, all this explosion had not occurred, people were even carrying puppies, and they were even in vests and in shorts, which means they were waking up from their houses, and when they had like there were some explosions, small explosions before the bigger one, they were carrying kids and coming out into the streets and going to see like what's happening. And most of the times when this thing happened, it just the explosive went up, and fire just was spread, and open spaces like streets, most people who were hurt were in streets because the fire could flow like seamlessly because there was no obstacles, because it was on streets. Only people who could duck or will dive or will lie down were just had minor injuries, but most people who were running away on streets got pumped from their backs. And as you saw, like if you have gone to my last video yesterday, which I uploaded, there is a family I went to see, like they were pumped. The mother was pumped on the whole hand downwards up to here, and again the leg downwards. So you can imagine like how it was really bad because people got pumped, and even kids were traumatized, because when I talked to some kids yesterday, they were telling me stories. Maybe they will never forget this thing in their own lives. One was telling me like he saw the movie that he usually sees on the movies, and you can imagine a young kid of almost 3 years narrating the ordeal on how it happened, on what he or she has seen. She's saying like people are pumped and you'll see meat. You see small kids will just tell, they'll see like the hand was like meat from butchery. So you can imagine. So it's so traumatizing. For me, on that fateful day, I was coming from my workplace. I came from my workplace and I stopped somewhere to upload a video on YouTube, and after 1 hour, I left to my house. I went to my house. I didn't stay in my house like 20 minutes before I heard loud voices of people screaming, and I just assumed like it was there was a game of that on that day. Manchester United was playing, and you know, here in Kenya, people are football fans, and they just go to movie halls, and they go to watch they go to watch football on video halls. I can call that. And that fateful day, there was a game at night, so I thought like it's just a team which has scored, and fans were screaming and cheering up on their team. So when the noise persisted, that's when I came out. I came out and that's how I just opened the door and I saw fire up in the skies. And I was like, maybe that's a flat building panning on top. That's why the flames were so high. But after I went closer and closer, I realized that the fire was coming from far. It's only that the flames were going so high. So that's when I realized like it was fire, and I didn't immediately realize like it was coming from the explosion of a tanker or a gas. It was I never thought exactly like it was fire from a gas tanker or something. So I kept on. I just thought to myself like I was trying to buy some data, and you know, like when you are in a hurry, and sometimes when you are trying to buy the data through SSD code, sometimes you just miss some digits and you find yourself you are going to some other options. So you just have to go back and then start afresh the process. So as I was doing that, I realized like time was going and I was moving close and close to the epicenter of the origin of the explosion. That's after some few minutes, I managed to buy some data, and then I went YouTube live, and I went live, and at this time my wife still was calling me and was telling me not to go near the place, but I kept on ignoring because I just wanted to have some shots from the place, and I wanted like my curiosity wanted me like to know like what really is going on out there. So I kept on going, and by that time I was shooting, but there was something like the internet was not so good. It was buffering, so the video was like it was hanging. You know that thing like when you you are shooting some video and it's hanging. The live video or the live stream was hanging and it wasn't clear. And then I went to the very near, so I started shooting, and I was start very close. I saw like some shops were burning, and I started shooting. Somehow the live stream was not public by then, but it wasn't such clear. Then at one given time, the somebody is calling, and during this time, I decided like let me take some shots, and the explosion happened, but it was just a small one. But there was a like a metal object which was thrown past us, and you can hear some voice in that. My phone recorded very clearly that sound of the a metal object which was thrown to our direction, but it didn't come to us directly. It went up and it hit a building which was behind us, and that's when we realized like this thing is so dangerous. That's what I said. This is so dangerous. So before even I finished saying this is so dangerous, then that bigger explosion which you are seeing on photos which are circulating online, that's when it happened. And I realized like now I'm dead. I saw hell with my own eyes and I was running. Lucky enough, I was just behind somewhere. There was a small wall, and there is a building from the inner side. I think that's what made me like I didn't get injured by the fire, because when I dived into the ditch, and the fire just went up because there was that small there was this small fence, or like a small wall. That's the thing which I think resisted me from getting pants, because those people who I was running with who went straight ahead of me. They sustained the pants high over the back of their head here, and some sides of their hand, and others even were, their clothes were burning when I just got out of the ditch. So, and they were crying. By this time, my clothes were all wet, and my phone was also wet, and I was talking, but the live stream was stuck because there wasn't like uh, enough internet at that point. So that's when I realized like the fire had done some damages. Instead of me staying there, I realized like if there is another explosion, I'm gonna get injured. So I started running far away from this area, and you can hear some women crying from the back of me, like they had left their kids at home. So it was really traumatizing at that time, and I've learned a lesson. That's one lesson. That's one big lesson I've learned, because most of the times we see these things on TV and on movies as such, because those are not really explosions on TVs that, like now we just imagine like we see them on TV, but for this one it was a real one, and it was live and very close to us, and that experience I can never forget about it. That's when I realized like we human beings, we live like every hour, because you never know like what will happen on the next hour. That time when you are alive is the time you can say like you are knowing what you are seeing, but the next minute you never know like what will happen to you, because that fateful night I just came out of that place, and it was quiet and it was peaceful. You cannot suspect like was anything, but the several shops had closed and people have gone to sleep. Only a few people you can see like passing around, maybe people who are coming from joints, drinking and all sort of things. Those are the people only you could see walking on the road, and there is some people who are coming from work late, and those are the only people you could see walking. And I can say like those are the people who got injured because so that's how it happened. And in this world, like we cannot say like you can tell the story of tomorrow, what will happen tomorrow. The only time you can tell what's happening is the real time when you are just alive and what you are seeing. So we saw the hand of God. I think I saw the hand of God in this, because on how I escaped, I don't know. On how I had to think between in like microseconds of thinking, like if I jumped into this ditch and this there is water inside here in this sewer line, I will save my life. Unlike some of my friends who have just got injured and they are hospitalized, that has burns up to 30% in their body, and they have been rendered totally immobile. They cannot move. So it's a miracle, I can say. Like it has never happened, but it's a time bomb which we almost like sensed from the back, because there is one day I remember I was discussing with my friends when one of the tankers from the same company were passing around, was passing by, and I was just telling these people like this tanker is loaded, because you can feel the weight as it was passing. you can see like the tiles will indicate the pressure on them because it was carrying the gas. And that day I was discussing with my friends like, if this tanker bursts into flames here, it will wipe the whole village. And these friends of mine were laughing at me and they were saying like, this thing, it came all the way from the seaport of Mombasa and it's here in Nairobi. If it was to explode, maybe it would have exploded long time ago while it's on its way. But I was telling them like, this thing, the gas is being refilled here. After it has taken the gas from the port of Mombasa, it comes here for refilling, and most of the times these accidents do happen when refilling gases because maybe some other workers are careless. Maybe that's when most of these accidents do happen. But I told them like, if at one given time this thing happens to explode, it will cause a disaster here in this slum. And they were like, don't ever talk about that because they were scared, but it really came to pass. And now most of these people are traumatized. I met with those same friends yesterday when this thing had just happened, and they told me, you are telling the truth, this thing has just come to pass as you said. Like, it would have almost wiped us. If it was during the day, I think it would have been a disaster because most people are out and most people are minding their own business and they are doing business. So sometimes people are busy during the day and so many people are around. So if it was during daytime, it would have caused so many things. Even as now, as I am doing this live stream now, I can hear some sirens, which means like maybe an ambulance or fire brigade are just around trying to monitor the situation, and if anything goes wrong, maybe they are at top notch to do something. Because as by the one former aspirant of the MCA, former MCA aspirant said on a live interview, like when they had like the smell of a gas in air, they called the emergency number, which is 999, and when the police responded, they told them like, there is this thing and it's gonna cause a disaster over here. They referred them to the nearest police station. When the police station responded, before even they had come to the scene, already everything was bad and it had already exploded. You see, like, it happened like a snap of a finger, and everything went from bad to worse within no time, you see. And most of these people I saw, like some people trying to say like they can never even use cylinder gas in their homesteads because now they just have they are scared to use even gas cylinders which we used to cook, because the way they saw like those small 6 kg cylinders were being tossed into the air like popcorns, they just like they got scared for real. So that's how things do happen. I think the management was so careless. The management of the company was so careless because once they saw like the gas was leaking, they could have done something, because it's only the villagers who noticed like there was this fun smell of a gas or of LPG, and they decided like to call the police, which means these people used to operate illegally and they couldn't call police, or somebody was sleeping on his job or her job. So you can imagine now people everywhere you go around this slum area. It's a small slum area of almost around 2,000 homes or less, 2,000 or less. And you could see like children's, women, men all over, and in large numbers with bandages, either in their arms or their heads, or on their legs, and you could like realize like most people were injured. What the vulnerable was like women and kids as they were trying to run away. Because as for me, I can tell my family scampered to safety, and they were taken by the police far away, like from here to where they were taken. It was like 4 kilometers, up to 4 kilometers away from here, and they were taken to a police station where they were put there until the following morning when they were released to come back home. And they were given some food there, because of course my kids told me like they were served with food. And you can imagine my kids, all the kids are around here, they didn't go to school the following day, because most people ran away and they never came back home, fearing like it's gonna explode again. And as I was walking to the direction where people are running to, you could realize like there were huge number of people walking, others without shoes, and I even witnessed some people without even a single cloth on them, because maybe others were from the bathroom and the explosion happened and people were scampering for safety. Nobody could even remember to pick his or her clothes. People were totally naked, and others had pants in them, and like their skins were hanging like this, and they were white. You can see like once you have been burnt and the skin has come out, you are white. Before anything else, before first aid, and even before anything happens, the body first, when the skin comes off, you are white. And the images were so graphic, you can tell, and people are walking in large numbers. And I realized like one time I was watching the movie of Rwandan genocide, the Hotel Rwanda, and I was like, these things is for real, because people are walking in large numbers in the dark, and they were being guided like go to this side. And even if the explosion was happening from far, where these people are walking on, people are still running when they will hear like a small explosive, and they run. And you can imagine how people got traumatized at that moment, and for real, even kids got traumatized for real, and scores of people got injured, like for sure. And when I visited the scene where there was this accident, or the epicenter, or the origin of the explosion, when I visited this site, and I saw like there is this huge tank which was thrown outside the compound where the explosion happened to the next compound, and it was lying there, somebody on top of the building, and lucky enough nobody was injured there, and there were no people, and people had run away. The same place, houses were burnt and everything, and you can realize like people lost a lot. And even the same metals from the explosion, or from the tanker, landed at a place and killed some goats. And I can tell like the kids I was talking to on my video, if you have not seen that video, you can go and check on it. The kids told me like their mom was at the shop, and like their dad was watching football elsewhere at an hall. So the elder one ran away with the younger kid, and the other one was left like sleeping. Only the mom to come and pick him, and they went to the different direction, and the other one went to the different direction. And when they reached at a certain point, there was a gate and they couldn't open the gate, and one lady helped them to pull down the gate, and then they escaped. But only the kids didn't get hurt during that time of pulling down the gate. Only that woman who helped them got injured. And you could see that video. I talked to the lady, and she said like she felt like these young kids are running away, and I cannot leave them behind. And she decided like to help them. That's when she decided to pull the gate down. And one thing you can realize from the scene is like streets are not going through. I mean, like streets are not crossing from one side of the road to the other street. They are due to corruption and wow, somebody's calling me and is making my videos somehow to start hanging. And as I was saying, like there is improper arrangement of streets, and one street is not going through to the other side, and hence like people could not have like emergency exits because like those kids, when they were running, they found a gate ahead of them and they couldn't break the gate because they were just kids. It's then by then that's when the woman came and decided to help the kids because she could not run away by herself and leave the kids behind. So that's one thing the authority needs to like check on, because the streets are poorly done, and that's because of people are like greedy. Even roads reserves which were meant for streets to go through, they sold them to some other people built on the road reserves, and the streets are being blocked. And hence, like if something breaks like fire, which means like people cannot have an emergency exit, or even the fire engines cannot access some other areas to put off fire in case of there is fire. And we have seen this in these slums, like fire engines cannot access like those interior places to put off fire whenever there is fire. So you can imagine like or now there is an like I can say like improper arrangement of streets, and the authority needs to look at that. So that's what really happened around here, and we wish all those who are injured quick recovery, and yeah, we wish them like quick recovery, and we wish like the authority to take action to these people, and the authorities like to prevent anything like this to happen in the future, because now refilling gas on residential areas, it's a thing like it's so dangerous. We have seen fires which have exploded in other areas, and they have killed so many people, and that means like the government not turn a blind eye on these things, like these companies which are refilling gas secretary in residential areas. And we are not saying like it's only this one. This is only a tip on iceberg, because there are so many companies which are doing the same thing, even as we are talking now, or even after this incident has happened. It's only like maybe you find like these guys, they know somebody somewhere who just a godfather who protects them, like from any step being taken on them. So like maybe sometimes you can blame whoever who is giving the license to these guys, but some other time you can like find like these guys who are giving out licenses cannot refuse to give out these licenses, because whoever who is asking for this license is a big fish. When I talk of big fish, it's like this person knows somebody somewhere, or in the government, or even these are the guys who are in the government and they know on how to maneuver through and on how to twist the law and get these licenses. So sometimes you can't blame like the authorities which gave the the authorities who gave the license. Sometimes you find like uh, these people are cartels who know on how to twist the law and to their favor, and so it's so hard for you to resist, especially if you are an officer who is to give the license, and this person is a big fish. You know somebody somewhere in the government, and it's hard for you to deny them the license. So sometimes we must have to know. We have to know how it needs to be put out. It needs like these people to be mentioned directly, like who owned this company and how did he acquire the licenses of refilling gas at residential areas. Because sometimes back I used to see this company refilling gas there, and they stopped. And again, after this explosion, that's when it came to people's minds, like they were refilling gases again, because after sometimes they left the thing, they stopped they stopped the refilling the gas. They went away, and I think because maybe this man was so sweet, doing it from their secretary, that's how they just decided to come back. You cannot tell, but there are several things we do see, like you see. We live in these areas day in, day out, and you see a lot of things happening around. If wananchi were given time, like to say or something, you could hear so many stories coming from that place, and you can wonder like the authorities, how did the authorities turn a blind eye on these things? So that being said, and there is a friend of mine. Sometimes I just saw his car, and I thought like he was so lucky because it was burnt all over, but it was moving. You can see like the paint had just come out, and it's a white car, filled a car, and it was burnt, and the paint had come out almost all over, and you can see like it was really something you couldn't even imagine of. So I was just looking at what I was just looking for images like this vehicle over here. They are saying like this is the vehicle which made like this incident to happen, and they were claiming like the driver of the vehicle was trying to ignite the vehicle to move it away from the scene when he realized like there was gas leakage. And most of these things you just wonder like how they happened. And what am I checking on here? Even these 3 kids were not left behind. These 3 kids over here, you could see like on how they were fighting to remove those rims which were hanging on electric cables. You see, that's another thing which sometimes happens a lot here in Kenya. Whenever there happens a disaster or fire or something, these street kids will run to the place. When you are running away from the scene, they run to the place and they start steering. They start steering like those things. There are so many people are complaining like they lost the TV sets, they lost everything from their houses, and their houses were not burnt, they were broken into. You could wonder like who was to break into these houses, and people are scampering for safety. But I realized like these street guys and people from far who are not even living at the area where the scene has happened, they just come. Like you see, this one, they are trying to remove this rim which was hanging from the electric cables, and that's what they do. They just take advantage of the situation and they come to steal from people. And that's why you could see like security men and women were around. But you know, the security people will not be all over. They'll just be at a given area to just to make sure like there is a, cannot be all over. So you can realize, you can see that like this explosion over here. These pictures are all over online. When this explosion was happening, I think somebody took the clip from inside Nyayo Estate, and it was really, really dramatizing. So I happened to do some interviews with people who are banned. There are a lot of things which I have. So there is this, I don't know if it was a gas cylinder which landed on this textile factory, and it caught fire. You can imagine like this go downs have been renovated most recent, and even some have not even been painted before again this disaster struck. So you can imagine on how people have lost their, they have lost a lot of investment they have done. So that's how things happened, and we thank God because like so many people are to be injured, but I think it's God who intervened, and this disaster so happened at night when so many people had gone to sleep. Because now this behaviors of ours here, because when we see like there is fire, we run to that place. You can imagine how many people could have died because of running to the scene where this had happened, and they could get burnt. Because during the days I came to realize like so many people are idle. Even if they see a small scene somewhere, you will find like there is around 40-50 people, just a small incident. And a small incident. What about this bigger one? You could see like several people have come to the same place, and they could have ended up being blown away or being burnt, like the scenario in such a one some years back in Nakuru County. You could see like people, when the tanker got accident, people ran to the scene to fetch fuel, and when the tanker went kaboom, so many people died, and even the fire was following people because they were siphoning the petrol, and sometimes they will sprinkle it. Maybe the drums which they were using was maybe broken or had some holes in it, and they will just carry it while the petrol is sprinkling up to inside their houses. And when the fire caught up, And when the fire exploded, the tanker exploded. The fire just went with the spring of the gas, which was the petrol gas. It ended up to the place where the petrol is stored, and it will explode in every homestead, and people died because they had, like, when they were just siphoning the fuel, they had it sprinkled all over their clothes. And when the fire went kaboom, they got burnt seriously. So many people died at that place. So if it ever happened here in this most recent incident, if it ever happened during daytime, by now we will be talking like 1,000 people dead and others nursing injuries in hospitals, because people really like scenes where an incident has happened. So that's what I say for now. And these people who have gotten injured are our friends, our relatives, and all sort of things. And talking of that, the government pledged to give them some relief foods, which I saw yesterday, like it implemented the same thing. I saw people coming out of the chief's camp, and they were having like cooking oil and some rice. In fact, 50 kgs of rice per every person who got injured, and some chicken, some saucepans, and some cups they were given. So I think the government has done so far, because even I saw some mattresses and some carpets which they can use to sleep when they, like at times like now, when they need such things or some basics. So you can tell, like, that's how. Oh, sorry, I'm yawning, man. So you could tell, like, it was a disaster. It was a disaster, like nobody's business. So I've just done this, and for sure we need to help one another, because you never know when your time comes. You see a brother who has lost everything from the fires and from the explosion, just help them, because today it's me and tomorrow maybe it's you. So you just do your part, and God will bless you. So from me now, I have to end this live stream, and I like to say thank you for those who wished us well, even as we experienced this disaster. And we like the authorities to take action against those people who are involved in the gas refilling plant here in Muradi, Embakasi. So from me, I like to say to you, thank you. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and feel free to write your comments down below. Let me what you think about this live stream, and also if you are new here, don't forget to hit that like button and the subscription button, to make sure, like, whenever I upload anything here, you're the first to, like, watch it. Thank you, and let's meet on our next video. Thank you.